Imagine getting high-speed internet from space while standing in the middle of a desert, sailing in the ocean, or living on top of a mountain far from any cell tower. It sounds like science fiction, but that's exactly what the Starlink satellite system is designed to do. Unlike traditional internet that depends on cables buried underground or towers scattered across cities, Starlink beams data directly from space using thousands of small satellites orbiting Earth. But the real magic happens on the ground. Inside the sleek white satellite antenna, often called the Starlink dish. It may look simple from the outside, but inside is some of the most advanced consumer communication technology ever built. How does the Starlink satellite antenna work? Let's explore right here on History of Simple Things. The story of satellite internet actually began decades before SpaceX created Starlink. Traditional satellite internet systems were already operating in the 1990s and early 2000s, but they had major problems. Most older internet satellites orbited extremely high above Earth in what's called geostationary orbit, roughly 35,000 kilometers away. Because signals had to travel such enormous distances, users experienced frustrating delays known as latency. Video calls lagged, online gaming was nearly impossible, and speeds were inconsistent. When SpaceX announced Starlink in 2015, the company proposed something radically different. Instead of a few giant satellites far away, it would launch thousands of smaller satellites into low Earth orbit, only about 550 kilometers above the surface. This dramatically shortened the travel distance for internet signals and allowed satellite internet to behave more like traditional broadband. Since then, thousands of Starlink satellites have been launched aboard reusable Falcon 9 rockets, creating one of the largest satellite constellations ever built. So how does the Starlink antenna actually work? At first glance, the dish doesn't even look like a normal satellite dish. Traditional dishes are curved bowls designed to physically point toward a specific satellite. Starlink's antenna is flatter and more modern because it uses an entirely different technology called a phased array antenna. Instead of mechanically moving large parts to aim at satellites, the antenna electronically steers radio waves using hundreds of tiny antennas built into the dish itself. This allows the Starlink terminal to rapidly track satellites flying overhead at incredible speeds without needing bulky motors constantly turning the dish. The result is a much faster and smarter communication system. Inside the Starlink antenna are numerous miniature antenna elements working together like a coordinated team. Each tiny antenna emits radio signals at carefully controlled timings. By adjusting the phase or timing of these signals, the system can shape and direct the radio beam electronically. This is why it's called a phased array. Imagine hundreds of people in a stadium performing a wave. If their timing changes slightly, the wave moves in a different direction. The Starlink dish works similarly, except instead of human movement, it manipulates invisible radio frequencies. This allows the antenna to instantly switch from one satellite to another as satellites move across the sky. The antenna constantly communicates with satellites using radio frequencies in the Ku-band and Ka-band spectrum. When you open a website or stream a video, your request travels from your router into the Starlink dish. The dish converts that digital data into radio signals and beams them toward a passing Starlink satellite overhead. The satellite then relays the information either to another satellite using laser links or down to a ground station connected to the internet backbone. The requested data then makes the entire trip back to your home in fractions of a second. This entire process happens so quickly that most users never notice the complex chain of communication happening above them. One of the smartest features of the Starlink antenna is its ability to automatically position itself. When first powered on, the dish tilts and rotates to find the best possible view of the sky. This is important because Starlink satellites are constantly moving rather than staying fixed in one spot. The antenna uses built-in motors, GPS, accelerometers, and sophisticated software to determine its orientation and optimize signal quality. Once aligned, the phased array system takes over most of the tracking electronically. The dish can even melt snow using built-in heating capabilities by warming its surface during cold weather, ensuring uninterrupted internet access in harsh climates. Another fascinating aspect is how Starlink handles handoffs between satellites. Since satellites are moving rapidly overhead, your antenna cannot stay connected to only one satellite for long. Instead, the system constantly predicts which satellite will provide the strongest signal next. Connections are transferred seamlessly from satellite to satellite without interrupting your internet session. This process is similar to how a smartphone switches between cellular towers while driving, except it happens in space at orbital speeds exceeding 27,000 kilometers per hour. The satellites themselves are equally impressive. Many newer Starlink satellites use laser communication links, allowing satellites to send data directly to one another in orbit without needing ground stations everywhere on Earth. This creates a space-based network capable of routing internet traffic across continents through space itself. In remote regions where fiber optic cables are impossible or too expensive to install, this technology can provide internet access to schools, hospitals, ships, disaster zones, and isolated communities that were previously disconnected from the modern digital world. As Starlink continues expanding, the technology behind its antenna will likely become even more advanced. Faster satellites, improved phased arrays, and stronger laser communication systems could transform global internet access forever. What once required massive satellite dishes and expensive infrastructure can now fit on the roof of a house or the deck of a boat. The Starlink antenna represents a glimpse into the future of communication. A future where the internet no longer depends entirely on cables buried beneath our feet, but instead flows invisibly through the skies above us. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.